Okay, welcome to a special Tuesday night special here. We've got Marty Greenberg in the studio, and we've also got Mike O'Hara, a Lions who's covered the Lions forever. We're going to hear him audio only, but Mike has covered the Lions for how many years now?
Well, I started in 1977. I took over the Detroit News, and I've been on it in some way or other ever since then. Currently, I write about the Detroit Lions for their website, DetroitLions.com, and previous to that, I worked for some other entities. After I left the Detroit News in 2008.
Okay.
I went for Fox Sports Detroit, things like that.
Right.
So I stayed busy.
Can you hear Marty okay, or?
Yeah, hi, Mike.
Can you hear okay, Marty?
Yeah, Marty, I hear you.
Yeah, I'm good, Mike. I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay. And we've got Marty Greenberg. Before we start, I want to introduce Marty Greenberg, a good friend of mine who we've watched many Lions games together. And I always feel like it's watching with one of the announcers, because you can turn to Marty at any time and ask him about a player, about where he's from, and he's incredibly knowledgeable. So I thought it'd be fun to, just with the Lions playing Sunday night in Detroit, their first playoff in many, many years. Let me ask you, Mike, I'll ask you first. You've covered the Lions for so many years. Is this more exciting when they're in the playoffs, or is it just the same old for you?
No, it's more exciting for any team, I think, when they're in the playoffs. Now, it sort of builds. You have some extra. For example, with the Detroit Lions this year, they were coming off a pretty good year last year. They had finished with a 9-8-1 loss record, and so you had expectations going into the season, and that sort of right from the beginning, you had a feeling that this could be a season where the Detroit Lions make the playoffs and maybe even win the division and start with a home game. So it's been different. We've really had something to look forward to right from the start of the season when they won their first game and then just moved on. And what we're seeing right now is the end result of the regular season.
And how are the players reacting to all this? I mean, they're obviously excited, but I guess maybe a better question is, we have the two quarterbacks. We have Goff and we have Matt Stafford. How much does this game mean to them playing against one another?
Well, I don't think it means any more or any less than it would anyway. I mean, the winner moves on in the playoffs, the loser goes home. So, this is one of those questions you'll ask as you look back on it. But for now, I think it's 50-50.
Okay. Marty?
Mike, you may be aware this is the first time in NFL playoff history that quarterbacks are starting against each other, against their old teams. Never, in other words, Goff and Stafford playing against their old teams. It's never happened before, starting quarterbacks in the NFL playoffs.
I heard something sort of to that degree. I wasn't positive, but yeah, does it add an element to it? Yeah, it does, and we'll see. The winner comes out, adds a little bit more for him. Oh, not a little bit more. It's sudden death. Winner go home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Very scary though when you see a guy like Nick Mullins put up almost 800 yards in the last couple of games. What Stafford with Puka and Cooper. I'm very, very worried.
Well, I mean, it should be. It's the Lions are a 3.5 point favorite. It's not exactly a walkover, and Stafford, of course, just absolutely thrives in these moments. Look what he did in his first year with the Los Angeles Rams after the two trades. Stafford to the Rams from the Lions, Jared Goff from the Rams to the Lions. Just the opposite. And Stafford wins 4 games and makes it to the playoffs. I'm saying wins 4 games and wins the Super Bowl. So obviously there's a prize here.
Mike, do you have through this season? Obviously, it's been an interesting one. Do you have a favorite player that you just love to watch out there?
Well, I've always liked, obviously Matthew Stafford, because I was here when he was drafted in 2009. And right from the beginning, you could see that he was a special talent. And nobody throws the ball like Matthew Stafford. And he's one of a kind. If there's more out there, bring them. I'd love to see him.
Right, and if you had to compare Goff to Stafford, would you tip your hand Stafford is a better quarterback, or?
Well, he has the Super Bowl. That's a heck of a thing to have on your side. However, if you look at this year's final statistics, you'll see the one thing that separates them a little bit is that Jared Goff is a little bit more accurate than Matthew Stafford. Goff has completed something like 68% of his passes. Matthew Stafford's down around 62%, 62.5%. Is that a big margin? It isn't really, except over time, accuracy will win out.
Uh-huh.
But so will that golden arm of Matthew Stafford. So
I mean, he certainly would. You would have to consider Stafford much more of a gunslinger, I think, Mike, right, than Jared.
Well, Jared Goff will take his shots too, and I think he's a little bit more measured than Matthew, but he'll take his shots. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And Marty, how about you? Is there a player that you really just love to see out there?
I mean, the thing about the Lions, I'm 70 years old, and it's been so many years since I've seen a team that's just loaded with not only talented players, but players that are just fun to watch, as you know. To answer your question, I would say Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's definitely my favorite. I love Laporta. The offensive line is Penny Sewell. All these guys. There's just so many guys that you can root for and are just so talented. It's wonderful.
And so, Mike, Sam Laporta, any indication yet whether he'll play, or it seems kind of iffy at this point? Obviously, what you getting any word on whether he'll play, or you have any optimism or pessimism about it?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a tough injury for him to come back from. Now we'll see. I've seen these miracle comebacks before, and it wouldn't be the first. I'm sure it won't be the last, but I think this will be a tough one to come back from. And he's really such a good player. He's not just a tight end, and we have generally this picture of a tight end who's a kind of a big hulking guy who can catch the ball and go down. Well, he can catch the ball and get you yards after a catch and so on, and also a good blocker. He really is a remarkable rookie second-round draft pick, high second-round draft pick. And the Lions have been drafted so well in the last 3 years under Brad Holmes, the general manager, that this was something special that they got from him.
And with him, if he doesn't play, which is obviously a possibility, how detrimental will that be to the Lions in their offensive game?
Well, this is where coaching comes in, and really, look, you're not going to make up. But there's no one on that roster who's going to replace Sam Laporta. It's just the way it is. It's the way he plays, and it's the way they run their offense. You can scheme and come up with things, and the other team. Look, the other team has not seen the Detroit Lions without Laporta, so obviously there's some territory there, some chances there to give the opposition things, looks, and plays that they haven't seen before from the Lions. Now, I'm being sort of Pollyannic here. You'd rather see them with Sam Laporta, what they've already seen, because you're not going. He's a really, really good player. He's going to beat most coverages and most defensive schemes, but there are some slight advantages to having never played against the guy.
Mike, that's a great. I never thought of that. That's a tremendous point. I mean, they do not have this year's Lions on film without Sam Laporta. That's a tremendous point. I have not heard brought up before.
Well, that's why I'm me and everybody else is everybody else.
Very good, very good. That is though. I never thought of that. Just ask you, what about? It was nice to see last week a guy that I thought they might have gotten a little more on. Maybe it's just because Laporta has come on so strong. But James Mitchell made a nice catch. He's more of a blocking tight end, I believe. And hopefully, I don't know if Brock Wright's going to be available this week too.
Yeah, from what I heard when I was in there, what's today, Wednesday? When I was in there Monday, it looked like Brock Wright, who's missed a couple of games, might be available this week, and we'll see. We'll have our best feeling about this on Thursday and Friday when you get the final injury reports, game reports, and all of that stuff. But Brock Wright he's not going to give you the offensive power that Sam Laporta does, but he's a really, really smart, good, tough ball player. I remember back 1 year ago, the touchdown pass he scored ran right through the New York Jets to beat the Jets. So he's really done some good things for the Lions.
And St. Brown was during the game was holding his ribs, and then he scored that amazing touchdown. Is he okay to play on Sunday?
Well, he looked good on the field to me, so that was 70 yards. He had a chance to stop anytime he wanted to.
Right.
No, he's and I think he'll be fine. You talk about a young warrior. That's one right there.
And some of the fans were a little worried when when the Lions started going down left and right for a little bit. Would you have played all the starters first of all, played them at all, or played them as much as the coach did, or what's your thought on that?
Well, let me start with this. I'm Irish Catholic. I worry about everything. I would play them too. I don't see anything wrong with playing your players. That's what they're there for. Why else are they there on Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Right.
They're there to play football. And if you can take this guy out and that guy out, then why not me? Why not him? Why him? All of that. I'm sure you tell the players, play with a little bit of caution. Don't sell out on every play. We have more to come. And then in a short period of time, you lose, at least for the short term, two players who are really valuable to it. One, of course, is Laporta, and the other one is the really super special teams player.
Khalif Raymond.
Khalif
Raymond.
Raymond. Raymond.
I'm sorry, yeah. Khalif Raymond. And what I tell you what, probably he might be the most underrated, valuable player on that roster.
Couldn't agree more.
How about Dan Campbell? I mean, he's made a lot of ballsy calls over. What do you think? How do you assess him? What do you think of him?
Well, I don't think he's a gambler. I think he kind of measures things, and I think he takes his shots. And there's a couple that I wouldn't have done, but he's done a couple of times he hasn't done things that I thought he should. So I think that balances out. But I think when he has told his team from day one when he took this job in 2021, he's gonna be aggressive, get ready, strap it on, guys. We're gonna play football, and you can't go back on that now. Look, there's got to be a way you play, and that's the way the Detroit Lions play. I don't think that's necessarily reckless. I just think it's aggressive.
Okay, Marty, what do you think? What's your evaluation of?
I mean, I love the guy. I mean, I don't recall maybe Sparky Anderson, but I don't recall a coach in Detroit that receives as much love. It's so tough being an NFL coach. The greatest coaches in the world, you can second guess them every Monday morning, right, Mike? I mean, you're not going to be perfect.
Well, you play 65, on average about 65 snaps, and you can sit there and just chop up everybody. That's what you want to do.
Exactly.
What did the Lions have to look for this week? What do they have to worry about? Stafford's not really a running quarterback, which has been sort of a weak spot for the Lions.
He can maneuver in the pocket, though. He's good at that, and he will literally stand in there till the last millisecond before releasing the ball. He's absolutely fearless. Absolutely.
And what do you see them doing? More of a running game this week or a passing game? I know Marty will have an opinion on that.
Are we talking about the Lions?
Yeah, the Lions.
I think they'll try to get into a good split there between running and throwing the ball. Look, they've got a good running attack. I don't think the Rams have the greatest run defense in football. Although they've loaded up with some good young players of late.
They've got a guy, Mike, interesting guy named Kobe Turner, who originally started in college with the Richmond Spiders, and then ended up at Wake Forest. But he's going to get some votes for Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, I obviously haven't seen him play yet. I'll be
Oh,
curious.
you're going to hear about him. Aaron Donald is taking him under his wing. In fact, they're calling him Aaron's son, in quotes. And this guy is great. In fact, I have a friend out in Arizona who played on a Richmond division, whatever, national team. And he was telling me about Kobe Turner. And sure enough, he's starting to get some good press. Look into him, Kobe Turner. They also, by the way, speaking of that,
yeah. The top 2 or 3 offensive lines in football, so I'd be surprised if he or anyone gets through that great wall of Detroit Lions.
Right.
What about Hutchinson? What do you make of him this year? I mean, he obviously had a good game. What do you make of his overall production this year?
I think he's elevated his game at the right time. And from the day they drafted him, going on this young, he's had 2 full seasons now. I thought that he would be a good player for the Detroit Lions, but I didn't think that he would be, a super pass rusher. I thought he'd be a player, with 10, 11 sacks. He wouldn't be one of the guys who's 15, 18 a game.
Mm-hmm.
I've since, after watching him tear up the teams for the last 2 games, I think I've underrated him. And I think don't misunderstand. I thought he was going to be a really, really good player for the Detroit Lions. I just didn't think the ever-present pass rush pressure was in his bag just yet. Well, it's there now, and it's full, and he's really been, absolutely incredible the last 2 games. He's had three sacks in each of the last 2 games, and there's no doubt in my mind that there's more to come.
What's he doing different? You think that?
It's hard to analyze it, but he gets that first step and get around the corner there. And he uses his hands well. He's absolutely nonstop, completely determined, plays to the whistle and beyond.
And Mike, he's gotten kind of a bad rap going previous to these last couple of games that you mentioned. He leads the NFL in quarterback hits and pressures, which really is kind of underrated stats.
Well, it might be. Look, I prefer to see the quarterback stretched out. Okay. And walk over.
Although you look at the game, Mike, you look at the game from last night, the Michigan game, Michael Penix was as beat up as any quarterback I've ever seen, and they only sacked him once.
Well, I didn't watch all of that game. I got to admit, but what I saw looked to be like the Wolverines were dominating that game.
Yes.
Do you expect?
They just dominated until Washington finally cracked. And when they
Exactly.
Do you guys expect any Detroit fans to be rooting for Matt Stafford on Sunday?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
Do you feel it?
He gave the Lions everything that he had and more. And when he left after 12 seasons, he handled it, and like he does most things, just first class. He went in and talked to Sheila Anthony, the principal owner of the Detroit Lions. And before anybody even knew that he was gone, he'd been traded to the Rams.
Interesting. And do you feel like the victory might be a little, or the loss will be a little softer? People say, okay, well, it could be worse. At least it's Stafford won.
Might be worse.
Yeah. You think it'll be worse, or you think people will feel like a little sort of mitigating circumstances there?
You mean if they lose to the Rams?
Yeah.
No.
People will just be.
Yeah, there's a lot of Detroit fans who aren't even happy with winning.
Do you hear fans complaining still, even when they're winning?
Absolutely, sure. They want to know why the coach didn't do this, that, why they go right down the line. That's part of it. That's part of the game.
Is that better, Marty? Can you hear better? Okay. So what about we know Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are being invited to talk to different teams. Is there any way that if they get the offers that the Lions can compete with them and keep them?
No, I don't think so. And they can't start, negotiating, I guess it is, with teams at all until next week. and we'll see what happens. Wouldn't surprise me if both of them were gone. No,
Yeah.
it really wouldn't. And then you've got, how do you fill those holes? Do you promote from within, or do you go out and bring in people that you know from previous contacts? That's what keeps Dan Campbell awake at night.
Sure. I mean, Mike, look at what happened to the Eagles. They lost both coordinators. Now look.
They lost both, and then they fired somebody during the season.
Well, don't worry. They've got Matt Patricia running the defense. Don't worry.
Now, Mike, you've witnessed the coaching pretty close up of Matt Patricia and Dan Campbell. What's the difference in their styles?
Dan Campbell has one. And look, I got fine with Matt Patricia. I really did. I sort of liked him. But you could just see, excuse me, guys, you can see from early on his tenure, it just wasn't going to work. The players, you couldn't get them to buy in. In fact, they were buying out as fast as they could. In general, and always not everybody, but they just didn't. They had played 4 or 5 seasons under Jim Caldwell. Absolutely loved playing for him. And Matt Patricia was the opposite of Jim Campbell, and it just wasn't going to work. And the personnel department really didn't give whoever would have been head coach at that time the weapons to compete on a week to week basis.
Now, does Sheila Hampton, does she have actually a close rapport, or how would you describe her rapport with the coaches and with the players?
Well, I extend it to everybody, but one thing about Sheila Hampton, when she took over on a full-time basis and changed coaches, fired the previous staff on Thanksgiving weekend, as you might recall. They finished it out with finished out the last 5 games, and then went on the hunt for a new general manager, a new head coach, and then the trade of Matthew Stafford and a couple of other things like that. But from the beginning, she wanted a more inclusive operation, to the point where she had, she got her own office back there, but she wanted an office right there in the middle where the action is. Now, it's not that she's telling anybody what to do. She's football people run the football organization, but she wanted to know what was going on. I thought that was a really, really smart right from the beginning.
And is she?
How big an influence has Chris Spielman been?
Well, I'm sure he has some. It's hard to measure, but I'd say about this about him and everybody else in that organization. Look at the results.
Yeah, there you go.
That's my answer.
Yeah.
And how about Barry Sanders? What's his influence, you think, been on the team?
I'd say lesser, because he's not around as much. He's an ambassador, I think they call him. And look, Barry's ultimate ambassador. All he's got to do is walk into a room with lights out.
Mike, is Chris?
In terms of, that's just not his style.
Is Chris Spielman in the building every day?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, any predictions on the? I know it's hard to. It could go either way, obviously. Are either you optimistic about Sunday, or just kind of down the middle, or?
Well, it's not a question of optimism or anything like that. Hold on a second.
Sure.
Got a cold. Hold on.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Must be the green yarmulke.
I saw an Irish comedian said, an Irish comedian who said, "I'm so Irish, my blood type is O'."
Okay.
True story.
Just I look at the game, I try to analyze them the best I can. That gets you pretty good this year. I think they'll be good again on this Sunday. I like the Lions to win. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I like the Lions 33-27.
Wow. And you, Marty, what do you think?
Well, I've got my brain saying one thing, my gut the other. I don't have a good feeling on the game. But after 60-some years of watching this team, I can't choose against them. I agree with Mike. I think you're going to need somewhere in the low to mid-30s to win this game. I think the Lions are going to have to make a big play, a major turnover somewhere along the way, and try to steal this game by a field goal or so.
And it seems like the defense is suddenly. I mean, there was a little period where we thought like, oh no, they're fading back to the old Lions. There were a few games where they were playing pretty iffy, and then suddenly the defense has been playing great.
Well, you said iffy, Al. Iffy has been one of the big reasons, right, Mike?
Yeah.
I'll say that again.
Iffy Melanfanu.
Yes, that's right. Third-round draft pick out of Syracuse 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, I guess it would be from now. This is his third year with the team. And, started out as a quarterback, and now he's a really effective, finally, an effective safety, deep safety. He's got great maneuverability, and he's got good hands and good awareness of the game out there.
Let me ask you, when you talk to, if you get a chance to talk to some of the sports writers when they come to Ford Field, are the Lions like the talk of the league, or is that our imagination?
No, it's not your imagination. I think you just look at look at some of those power rankings and all that, where they're third, fourth, fifth, second, fourth, fifth, whatever. Most people aren't poo-pooing the Detroit Lions. It's a legitimate team, and it started good and it stayed good. I mean, think about that. They beat the defending Super Bowl champions in the opening game on Thursday Night Football on the road. They haven't slowed down since.
Yeah. No, it's been obviously an exciting year. Let me ask you, if I can, the difference between working for the Detroit News and working for the Lions organization, where you write for the website. Do you have pretty much free range, or do you kind of worry that you got to hold back a little bit?
No, it's not something I worry about, but I'm not stupid either. I'm not going to call for fire the owner. Pretty stupid. It's a little bit different. You have to be mindful of who you're working for, but no one has ever called me out for analyzing a player or a team unit or something that did the wrong thing.
Right.
When I took this job in 2012, I told him, I'm just not going to sit here and just, I'm not going to be I'm going to write what I see. That's what I'm here. Yeah. That's what they asked for, so that's what they've gotten. So
they're happy with. They want real They want some objective reporting, or where
as Martha Firestone Ford once said to me and my partner Tim Twentyman, I like it when you're critical.
Oh, really? Okay.
And if you know what I said to her, so do I. Good woman's, by the way, one of the best.
And the other question is, which Lions can handle the Mike O'Hara humor?
That man has not been
Not yet. Is Dan Campbell have a sense of humor? Or is he pretty stoic, straightforward guy?
He's the best.
Yeah. He seems like
he's like Wayne Fonts with a little bit of polish.
Did you like Wayne Fonts?
Loved him, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting. Well, Marty, any final thoughts here?
Nope, just it's been wonderful as always listening to Mike and his knowledge, and very excited about this upcoming weekend.
Okay, well, all right. We'll look forward to it, and maybe we'll talk after the game. So, all right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Mike.
Thanks.